want to share some tools and tips to improve your resilience. And first of all, looking at how to improve your self-discipline. We all struggle sometimes with that tendency to get off track, to procrastinate, to give in to the temptations, the impulses that we all experience, to self-gratify in the short term rather than sticking with a goal, with an aim, with an intention over the long term. The Marshmallow Test is a very famous experiment that is typically done with 4-year-old kids. A kid is given a marshmallow, then they're told, you can have that marshmallow right now, or you can wait, and if you wait, I'll give you a second marshmallow. Now, most kids will wait for the promise of that second marshmallow. But what's interesting to note is that some of them will be able to wait longer than others. And if you plot on a graph how long kids will wait before they give in to that impulse, that temptation to eat the marshmallow that's in front of them, if you plot that on a graph, then that is the single best predictor we have of how they'll do in their GCSEs 12 years later. I think that's fascinating. You see, our ability to control our impulses is an incredibly significant part of our success in all aspects of life. How then do you control those impulses? Simply approaching it with brute willpower doesn't usually cut it. The fact is, there are strategies we can use to avoid the things that get us off track. There are 5 strategies that you can use to improve your self-discipline, and they're linked to this acrostic SMATA. So S stands for select your situation. That means put yourself in the situation or the location that will help you succeed, and avoid the situation or the location that you know will get you off track. That's to do with choosing and being careful about where you work, maybe who you work with, knowing that some people, some distractions can get you off task. The second is modify your situation, make changes to your situation. Our phones are a massive distraction to us, and we can make adjustments. One adjustment is simply to turn the phone off when you have a period of time that you want to devote to working, but also you can make more finely tuned adjustments. You can change the notification settings so that only those really important emails or those important notifications buzz and the others don't distract you. The third is A, adjust your focus. Often we focus on the problem rather than focusing on the outcome. We're focused on the thing that we have to do now that we don't like doing, rather than focusing on what it will achieve in the long term. And that's sometimes about making our workspaces stimulating, inspiring workplaces, having clarity about our long-term goals, and using our workspace in an effective way to keep our focus on that long-term goal. The fourth is T, think differently. In that marshmallow experiment, when kids were told to think of the marshmallows as if they were fluffy white clouds, they could wait longer. You see, using our imagination sometimes to shift our focus can be incredibly helpful. And when you think about your situation differently, not as that awful thing that you have to do, but instead seeing it as a game or setting yourself a target or a challenge, then you can achieve and stay on track much better. The last one is act, and that's where you simply use that brute willpower. You force yourself to do the thing that you don't really feel like doing, but you know is the right thing to do. Self-discipline can change your outcomes dramatically. Learn to control your impulses. How do you establish positive habits that will help you cope with emotion and stress on a day-to-day basis? The first habit to get into is that of talking to people, being open about your emotions, recognizing that actually that dopamine, that chemical that gives you the feeling that you can cope, is secreted at its optimum levels when you feel understood. So it's essential that you know who's in your circle, your network of support, who can you go to when you're feeling stressed out, who can you so-called vomit on when you're feeling like you're not coping. That's really, really important. Secondly is getting into a habit of regular physical exercise. Scientists tell us that there's a magic number that will reduce your risk of heart disease, your risk of dementia later in life, your risk of cancer, will put you in a much more positive place. And it's 30 minutes 3 times a week, getting your heart rate up. It may simply be going for a walk. 30 minutes 3 times a week will change your demeanor, your body, and your mental health. The third thing is creativity, doing something that is positive and creative to express your emotions. That can be cooking, baking, that can be gardening, that might be DIY, building a shed, that might be listening to music, playing music, writing, doodling, keeping a journal, anything that is expressive, anything that allows your creative inner self out will be good for your mental health and therefore good for your resilience. The fourth one is gaining perspective. And this can be as simple as going to a wide open space, going to the local park, going to the coast. The bigger the space, the better, because that helps you to get your life and your tasks, your daily mundane routine into perspective. Your problems are not the biggest thing in the universe. There's a great big universe outside, and getting out into that big universe can do your mental well-being the world of good. And the last one is to be kind. Studies show that when you do something for someone else, when you put a smile on somebody else's face, that makes you feel better. It's called a helper's high. It literally releases dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin into your bloodstream, and you get a kind of a rush, a high. Not only that, but it takes your mind off your problems, off what you're struggling with, and puts your mind onto somebody else and making somebody else happy. If you can get into a routine, a habit of putting into place those 5 positive coping mechanisms, you'll be able to turn on the tap on that bucket and allow your stress levels to never get to the point where they spill out and you snap.